Okay, I'm up the roof and now trading my videos. Okay, there's something that intrigues me all this my life. And the book of Melchizedek, an ancient book, to me is a kind of story, but it's an interesting point. It brought out a message to me that I want to explain to you. Now let's see what Melchizedek is saying.
Lucifer, who devoted his life to understanding the mysteries of light, he was gradually drawn to the darkness. At first, a little curiosity led Lucifer to approach that deep abyss. Contemplating it, he began to wonder why I cannot understand your conundrum. Returning to his place of honor beside the throne, bowed himself to the divine king, beseeching him, "Father, give me to know the secrets of darkness, like me reveals the light." Before the request of beautiful angel, the eternal expressive voice with sadness said, "My son, you were raised to the light, that is life." Convinced that the Creator does not reveal the treasures of darkness, Lucifer decided to understand the puzzle by yourself. He thought himself able to do so. With this sad decision, the Prince of Angels allowed to arise in your heart a stain of sin that could bring a catastrophe to the universe.
Now, it is very clear, right, that Lucifer was a fantastic person, right? He was raised to the light. In other words, he knows what is beauty, what is goodness, what is righteousness, what is perfection. And everybody is striving for that, isn't it? And you and every one of us, we are striving for perfection. But unlike every one of us, Lucifer didn't have to endure pain like we do. Instead, Lucifer was purely perfect. And he was made perfect by the one eternal. And the question in my mind, in your mind, must be, why is it that he desired, as the book of Melchizedek says, why did he desire to know what is darkness? Have you asked yourself that? Why he desired to know darkness? For us, human beings, we run away from darkness. We're so scared of darkness, right? We want perfection, we want light. But Lucifer, who is so used to that light, why is it that he's looking for darkness? And he asked God, please give me an understanding of what darkness is. And God, when he heard from Lucifer, he felt a little bit sad, right? And why is that so? Lucifer was created for lightness. How is it that he desires darkness? Have you ever asked yourself this question? When human beings, we are all striving to be in the light, but we couldn't find a way. So what is happening here?
Only Yahweh knew what was in the heart of Lucifer. The angel who was created to be the bearer of light was divorced in thoughts of the beneficent Creator, who, in an effort to prevent the disaster, besought him to stay with him. A tremendous fight began to catch up in his heart. The desire to know the meaning of darkness was immense, however, pleading that loving Father, who also did not want to lose the tortured.
It is unbelievable, isn't it, that Lucifer wanted to know darkness, and he wanted to know it so badly, and it became a yearning deep in his heart that tortured him a lot. That's what the story of Melchizedek says. But for us, it's the other way around. We are looking for light. We're looking for perfection, and we seek for that perfection in our life. But somehow, we are made both ways, aren't we? We have moments of happiness and perfection, but we also have moments of sadness, loss, and that kind of stuff. So we are in between good and evil, so to speak. But for Lucifer, he is completely lighted up as righteous. So now you must be thinking to yourself, and I hope you're thinking to yourself, is righteousness really good? Lucifer was made to be righteous. You know that? He was made to be perfect in his thoughts and ideas. So you must ask yourself, is perfection, righteousness really good? I'll tell you the truth. It is not really good. What is really good is that you're aware of both good and evil. Because by this awareness of both good and evil, you realize the in-between. And it is the in-between which is the truth. Neither good nor evil is the truth. That's the point I'm trying to tell you. Now this must come as a shock to you, isn't it? But let's carefully study the Bible. What did the Bible say? In the midst of the Garden of Eden, there was this tree of the knowledge of good and evil, right? And then when Eve took it and gave it to Adam, and Adam took it as well, their eyes were open. That's very true. What the serpent said became true. Their eyes were open. And knowing good and evil. And what did God say? God said, the man and the woman whom we have created have now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. So, what do you think? Is it good or bad that they should eat the knowledge of the tree of good and evil? In fact, it is the step forward. You see, for God, to know good and evil was a step forward. But they haven't found the truth yet, okay? They haven't found the truth. Yes. What they need to do is to go in between the two. To put out their hands in between the two and take the fruit of life itself. That's the answer. It was a step forward. But in the case of Lucifer, unfortunately, he could never go through that step. For him, it was all righteousness. And all the angels were made this way. But for man, we have the capacity to understand good and understand evil. But that's not the total solution. There was a reason why we were given that understanding. We are required to actually put our hands through in between the two and discover the fruit of life itself. But of course, if you are a Christian, you say, I've missed something very important. Have I? Yeah, that's true. Because in the Bible, it says that in the day that you eat of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, you shall surely die. And we all interpret this as evil. Because you know why? The idea in our mind was that serpent is that bad guy. Serpent is the devil, we were told in Christianity. So he was a liar. So we were told that. And because of that, we understand that when God said, in the day that you eat of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, you shall surely die, we thought that it was kind of a condemnation. But what's the truth? The truth is spoken by the serpent. The serpent said that in the day you eat of the fruit, you shall not surely die, but your eyes shall be open, like God, knowing good and evil. So, in other words, so something is very disturbingly wrong, right? Is there a contradiction between what God said earlier and what God said later? God said earlier, of course, that there is death that will follow. But later part, God said that the men and women whom we have created is now closer. It's become like one of us. So their next step would be to stretch out your hand in between and discover the fruit of life itself. And that next step, of course, is not an easy step. So what God did was, He brought them out of the Garden of Eden, but told them that they should strive to re-enter the Garden of Eden in between the two cherubims, and there go in back into the Garden of Eden and to eat the fruit of life. And that is the destiny of man. But Lucifer had no such opportunity. He was already on one side of the truth. He was made to be on one side of the truth. But man was made to be dual. And because we were made in that duality state, we are able to go in between. And the destiny of man is therefore much better. Why? Why? Because man is able to sit as God. That's right. Man is able to be the in-between of good and evil. Whereas Lucifer will forever be just a creation of God. That's why man is favored by God throughout the Torah. The destiny of man is far more important. For man is desired by God to be his proxy. Man is supposed to represent God in creation. And to do that, we have to be in between. And to be in between righteousness and evil. What does that mean to be in between? Not an easy to understand, right? Because when you're in between, you're one. You're no longer dual, you're one. And this is the true reality of our existence. In the same way that God is one reality and only just one. Lucifer was made to be just one side of a truth. But man was able to enter into that oneness with God. And when you are in between, you know what it means? It is a place where there is no space, no time. And when you are in between, it apparently appears that you have died. Because in between, you don't appear to exist at all. That is why God said, when you eat the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, you shall surely die. Because you will enter the in-between state. And it is not a good thing for many people to enter. You don't want to have this feeling of darkness. But please remember this. I entered into that darkness state. But today I realize that that darkness state is also the place of true one light. That darkness state is light itself. If you look carefully at light, light is darkness. It's only reflected light which is bright. But light itself cannot be seen. It's hard to understand all this, friend. You need some knowledge of science as well. And you need to follow my videos as well. Religion makes things very easy. If I were to tell you a story, I'll just make it easy for you. And you follow the story in a way you are into the truth, but yet at the same time you can be totally confused and misled. I'm using science most of the time. And in the science I realize that the in-between state is the oneness state. But the in-between state, very few people want to enter, and very difficult to enter, because you will feel deaf. You feel that you don't exist at all. That's why Jesus said something very interesting. He said, except a corn of wheat dies, it does not bear fruit. But if it dies, it is risen to eternal life. You need to understand science, not just religion. I hope you can follow my videos and discover many, many secrets of life itself. I like to bring you to the place in between, to the place that very few want to enter. Very few want to enter. But it's a place where you will be resurrected and discover the one life, the one reality, of which we are all part of.
Yet to continue the search of the meaning of darkness, Lucifer did not intend to leave the light. Strove to achieve a combination of these parts, in the realm of eternal coexisted separately. Finally, with a feeling of elation, devised a deceptive theory that aimed to present the universe as a new system of government than the rule of the eternal, called his theory the knowledge of good and evil.
Lucifer was attempting to go to the other side. He was in the light, but he seek for the darkness. In a way, he is wrong, because for him to seek for the darkness, it is wrong. Because he was made only for light. He's an angel, and he's not in a position to look for the other side. But of course, he was kind of a brainiac, yes. So I guess the best that he could understand about the other side is a kind of knowledge. So he understood the knowledge of good and the knowledge of evil. That's the best he could understand. In order to structure a universe where there could be the other side for him, he could not go further than just knowledge. So in the Garden of Eden, God had made the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And that tree was an important tree as well. It was not made to tempt men, no. It was made so that man could make a step forward to a higher level of awareness, not just based on the knowledge of good and evil, but rather an awareness, duality, and an awareness of the oneness that exists in God. For man, it was more than just knowledge. But for Lucifer, all he could understand was merely knowledge of good and evil. But for man, it was more. And so Lucifer, of course, shared that very important truth to Adam and Eve. And of course, Adam and Eve understood it at the beginning as just merely the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And God told them that, you see, the day you take that tree, of course, you will have to die. Because in understanding the knowledge of good and evil, you have to go inside yourself. And when you go inside yourself, the world outside you have to cease. And that is death. But for Lucifer, it wouldn't be a death for him, because all he understood about the structure of the universe is only light. And if there is a darkness, it's only a knowledge of darkness and a knowledge of light. So because it's just a mere knowledge, there's no need to give up the body. There's no need to go inside. But for human beings, it is different. We are capable of going in. We are capable of stretching our hands in between the good and evil, so that we could stretch our hand towards the tree of life, which man was made for a different and higher purpose. And God wanted man to reach that tree of life. And that's why for man it is necessary for them to eat the knowledge of good and evil. But of course it will amount to death. So what is happening is that for most of us, of humanity, we never manage to go to the in-between and to lay hold of the tree of life. We got stuck to the knowledge of good and the knowledge of evil. For most of us, we are tempted by the duality aspect of life. We enter into space-time. We see people around us and we comment that you are good and you are evil and all that stuff. You see life as good and evil, but you don't realize that lying between good and evil is a centrality, is a oneness deeper than good and evil. It is called the one reality. And to realize the one reality, we have to die to duality, and come into the I am. So I guess most of humanity was influenced by Lucifer, isn't that right? Because Lucifer understood the universe as a structure of good and evil based on knowledge. And for most of us, we are stuck to our thoughts. And based on that knowledge, we see a world completely based on knowledge. We don't realize that deeper than knowledge is the breath. That deeper than knowledge is the singularity. That deeper than knowledge are not probabilistic existence, but the one reality. Just to give you an example, I was coming back from a game, from a table tennis game, and I was feeling tired. So there in the MRT, I closed my eyes. And what do? I'm not bothered about what the world is looking at me, right? I'm not bothered about thinking. No, I'm not. What I did was simply to hear the voice that's coming from myself. That's right. What I did was to sync with the frequency that is in me from the frequency of my own observation. When I did the frequency synchronization, I enter into the harmony of existence. I enter into a place more peaceful than just thoughts can manage. You see, human beings are capable of doing that. You can do that. That's right. But you must not be bogged down by thinking for solution. Thinking of a solution will help because it's still thinking. You have to enter into breath to get to the solution. That is the in-between state between the knowledge of good and the knowledge of evil. That is the place where you can stretch out to the light within each of us, the I am. But the problem with all of us is that we are unwilling to go inside. We prefer to manage our life by our thoughts. We prefer to judge people rather than to self-observe ourselves. We prefer to see things more substantially rather than to sing with our own frequency. We manage our world using our thoughts and knowledge rather than to realize that actually in each of us is the answer to all the questions we have. In every one of us is the breath of life, is the tree of life that God has given to us. And this tree of life which is in us is inside the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil is our body. The tree of life is in our breath. Get it? So you have to get through the tree of the knowledge of good and evil before you can lay hold of the tree of breath, the tree of life. You see, the Bible stories are all figurative. The story of Adam and Eve is a metaphor. You have to understand it in a deeper way. That's right. I've tried to present to you by using a comparison with the book of Melchizedek. But they're all stories. What you need to realize is the truth of yourself. And that is everything. There is power inside all of us. There is salvation in every one of us. What we need to do is get through past the knowledge of thoughts and realize the awesome truth that God has placed in each of us, that we belong to divinity, that we are a child of divinity, and Lucifer has nothing to do with us. We are the sons of God. But before we can touch that power, we must realize the power within us. Before we can touch the sonship, we must realize the sonship in all of us. It's not just a thought. Somebody can tell you that you're a son of God, but what's the purpose? if you just learn it from book. You need to realize it yourself. You need to realize that I am that I am. And that is my name forever. Okay, so before I close this video, I just want to emphasize a very important truth. Lucifer was made to be righteous. Well, does that really matter? No, it doesn't. Because just being righteous is not good. Because Lucifer is not able to be unrighteous. In other words, Lucifer has no ability to make a decision between right and wrong. He's not capable of exercising his will, which is the key and the most important truth of all. So without being able to exercise his will, Lucifer cannot be the I am. Human beings like us, we are capable of making decisions, and that's the reason why we were given good and evil. We are able to exercise between them. So it's very important for us to make a decision in ourselves. We have the ability to exercise our will, and therefore we can be blessed with the wisdom of I am. Now, some people say that Jesus Christ is Michael, angel. Is it possible? Of course not. Because the angel Michael is as worthless as Lucifer. He's not capable of making decisions of his own. He has no I am. He's just a messenger. So only human beings, yes, we are born with a very important task, that we might be able to be a proxy of God in this creation. We were created on the sixth day in the image of God, it is written. We have a very important task so that we can exercise the I am for God. So I'm asking you and I'm challenging you, are you able to do that? Or are you simply relying on a Savior or relying on somebody else to help you to exercise your will? God is expecting us, every one of us, to become aware of the I am, so that for each of our world, we can exercise God in our world. God is expecting us to fulfill that most important task, and for us to fulfill that task, we must have a deep awareness of the I am. And that's the reason why I'm here to share with you this wonderful truth. Share this video to others. Help them to understand that they have a very important task, not to worship another person, but to be as I am for God. A friend of mine was asking me, what will we be doing in heaven? I told him that if heaven was a place where you don't have to make a decision between good and evil, then you're not expressing the I am will. And if that's the case, then I think that the heaven that you define as is fictitious. Because to me, in my opinion, for an eternity to an eternity, I am have to express himself in the will. And if there's no will to express, there's no necessity for life whatsoever. So when a person tells me that he's going to heaven to have a very, very good time, I think there isn't such a place, because I am making a decision between good and evil, between two opposing effects. That's the important part of it. And the universe wants me to express I am. That's right. And if I'm not expressing I am, I'm not at the singularity, and I'm not creating the universe I am in. So I believe, therefore, that earth is a place whereby we express our heaven. And how do we express our heaven? We express our heaven whenever we make a decision between two opposites. In others, whenever you are the I am. So the idea of a Lucifer that was made only one of the two is simply an idea of a messenger that cannot express I am whatsoever. So to me, Lucifer is an unimportant. It's one of the two. In the very same way that when I think of something, let's say when I think of that computer, it's simply one of the two. I have to think about the anti-computer. Then it is together, it is a true object. But if I simply think of a Lucifer, to me, that is just an idea in my mind. Same thing with Michael. It's just an idea in my mind. Same thing with every ideas that I'm thinking in this world. They are just messengers of me. They are not reality. What is reality? Reality is only me, because I'm the only one who can make a decision between two opposites. That is reality. I'm the only one who can make a decision choosing between good and evil. And that is I am. So my friend, don't be afraid that there's an enemy in front of you. The enemy is out there against you so that you can negotiate, so that you can unite and be in union with the other party. The enemy is out there only for one reason, that you may sing with his frequency, that together both of you can become one, can express I am. Don't be afraid to live in this world where there is suffering. It is the very reason why you're here, to express I am, to be as God,